Hey everybody, today we're going to be covering the new service Microsoft Connected Cache, similar to what people in CCM have been doing for a long time, caching applications and just improving the overall performance of things like pre-provisioning. So before we get into building it, we're going to hit on the prerequisites real quick. Let's start with the service account. So the very first thing we do is we create this MCC user account, really straightforward, right? The only thing that we need to account for with that is making sure that it can log on as a batch. As you see here, we'll go into our local security policy, local policies and user right assignment, and we're going to make sure it has the ability to log on as a batch job. So that covers that aspect of it. The other thing that we're going to do, if you open our friend that everybody hates, ISC, is we're going to go ahead and run a basic command. We're actually going to pull in two commands here. So one command we're going to run, and we'll delete this thing here, but we're going to run this command to actually store the credential of that local account. And then we're going to also we'll use a little command to create the environment variable for the account as well. And so that variable is going to look like this. And I've already run it, so I don't need to run it again, but basically we run this command here. This command here, this environment user, will create the user environment variable that's required. And then we'll run this command here to store the credentials. And those credentials will be commonly used to create the scheduled tasks and such. So we've done all that. Now let's get ready to start building. So now let's go and create that connected cache node, which is pretty easy. So you click create, pick your sub. See here, it's only available on a few of the locations currently. I'm going to create the name of it. I'm just doing a little bit of validation. Click create. And then very quickly here, it will create that resource. Takes like a minute or so, but really not too bad. Cache status is already showing as created. So like I said, this is very simple, very quick. Think of this as like the admin console for your whole thing. So you have this. From here, you're going to go into cache nodes. You're going to create a cache node. And you kind of call it whatever you want to call it. So I'm just going to call it after my my test machine here. You see I'm selecting Windows. I think it's probably actually easier to do Linux because all it's really doing is using WSL and installing an Ubuntu image anyway, but, you know, fun times. So I'm waiting for that node to pop in here. Okay, so we go in here. Let's set the size, 50 gigs for the cache. I'm not setting a proxy. I'm going to save that. That's just updating the node. Taking its sweet time though, isn't it? As you can see here, we're gonna wait for that command to get generated anyway. Just you see as well, we're waiting for this whole thing for it to update that node. It basically shows you, by fast, it's just gonna automatically keep it updated. And you can go slow update cycle where you tell it, okay, we want you to install it this week on that day, that time of day. As far as updating the cache, which you can align with your patching if you want. It's really up to you. Seems a little abnormal. We'll go back in and check this. Let's see if it actually kept the save. It did not. So let's try this again. Might have gone too quickly. There we go. So we're going to click download. It's going to download the provisioning package, which will just take a second here, which we will unzip. And we're still waiting for that provisioning that's taking forever too. We're waiting for that to actually generate the cache node command. Not sometimes. There we go. There's our command. So we already hit on our prereqs, right? So on top of that, you need to make sure WSL is already installed. So you can do WSL -- install. Not a huge deal. We'll go in here, back to our PowerShell. So we're going to pop our command in here. Let's delete the other stuff. We already know it's there. So this command here gives the install folder, customer ID, node ID, blah, blah, blah. Now one thing you got to do here is you can either set the variable, which we'll do that just for fun. And I don't know if, setting the environment variable will just pick it up anyway, but I just like to do it anyway just because I don't trust anything, so we're just gonna so that sets that variable. We've already set the credentials. So now that we've done everything we need to do, because like I said, really the key is you want to make sure WSL is installed. And if you run into issues here, you might have to, hit with some reboots because, sometimes WSL doesn't quite get ready properly, especially with like the node initialization and that. So we're going to we're not going to do that yet. We need to set our execution policy to unrestricted so it actually works. Yes to all. And then we're going to execute this and see how it actually goes, shall we? Let's see. So this is cleaning up stuff from when I tried building this out before. But for the most part, what you're going to end up seeing here is it's going to use WSL to install an Ubuntu image. And then inside that Ubuntu image, it's going to install MCC. So it's all predicated on these scheduler tasks that are out there. If you get there's like an install or remove a monitor. And so we're going to wait for this to kind of do its thing here. But it's pretty straightforward, right? You've got inside of Azure, that's the whole kind of monitoring service. You get nodes you deploy locally. That node's got a cache content, and then we're going to use delivery optimization settings in Intune to tell it where to go and get its content from, which brings everything full circle and helps with issues with like pre-provisioning when apps are taking too long to install and that kind of thing. So it just kind of powers the whole process, which is really kind of what we're after. So the good news is things are going pretty well. When I've tested this in the past, I've had to do a few reboots because like the Ubuntu image couldn't mount because WSL wasn't already installed and Ubuntu wasn't installed previously and that kind of stuff. You can see here it's running Ubuntu 22.04. You can see also here it detects the IP that it's actually running on, which is kind of neat, so that when you go and you configure your policies, in the event you need to do stuff, it'll actually show you, oh, okay, that's the IP I need when I push it down. So you can see here, it's going pretty well. It's waiting for the container to get downloaded. So we're going to pause while we wait for some of the stuff to finish up. Okay, so you can see here, it's successful. You can see that our favorite, the install return code 0. Things look relatively healthy. But we can do a few things to actually test and check it. Let me see if I actually have it still. Hopefully I do. Okay, yep, so this is the wget. Yep, that's the wget to confirm that it's actually functional and running. 200, so that shows you, huzzah, it works. So the next thing that we're going to end up doing here is we're going to go back into connected cache, and we're going to go into the node. And what we're going to wait for, that was actually relatively quick, maybe because we had it in the past, but you can see it shows the node is up and running and healthy. And within a few minutes, you'll end up seeing it. The cache node summary will also show it being healthy as well. But we know it now functionally works. We know we're healthy. We know we're good. So is the software version, all this cool stuff. So the next thing we're going to look at is how you configure this in Intune. Okay, so inside of Intune, you're gonna go in here, and you go to Settings Catalog. This is actually super easy, and we're not gonna fully create it, but we're gonna show you how it's set up. So basically, I'm gonna go into delivery optimization. Then inside of here, there's actually two different things you could do: host or host source. Host source is based on DHCP. Most people are just doing hosts because that's easy. You can use basically an IP or a host name, so you can do like 192.168.1, like 57 or whatever. You can, and so all your different cache nodes, you can put all their IPs in there, and it's going to actually programmatically explain and tell your. It's going to tell your environment, or tell your devices rather, go here to get my cache, so I don't have to go out to wherever, which is pretty neat. It kind of does its thing. And you can use different other settings as well if you want to set like max cache ages, download bandwidths, monthly bandwidth caps, that kind of stuff. And certainly look at those. And you can even set business hours to limit the bandwidth. But it's really just that simple. You can see here as we're back, we have a healthy node now, which is good news for everybody. So let's see if we can actually get anything good out of this yet. So I'm going to go in here, and I'm just going to pick something to install. Why not? Let's get the ChatGPT Windows app, which is kind of funny. It's in the Microsoft Store, but that's cool. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to download it. See how quick it goes. It goes really fast, which is good news for everybody. So that successfully installed. Let's see if we can get any information yet. So the neat thing is, actually, when we go in here to look at delivery optimization, you can see here that we did get those 90-bit megs from the cache server. So you will see on your local device like this, right? You can see the data and showing, oh, look, the stuff actually came from the caching server, which is kind of neat and just shows just how cool Microsoft Connected Cache is. It's relatively not too painful to deploy. It's just about figuring out what you need and just building it out and getting it there.